If you're struggling at work, today I'm going to give you the answers to the 7 most common career questions I get asked by my clients. As an executive and career coach helping out new employees, I have been asked these questions hundreds of times, and this is the advice that's given people the best results. I'm also going to keep each answer under a minute, so it is only the most valuable points. So let's start the timer. How do I answer the question, "Tell me about yourself," in a job interview? This is a great question because it allows you to have some control over the interview. What you want to give is a headline. So something that's not overly complicated, that's kind of compelling, and leads to a lot of opportunities for follow-up questions. So your headline is going to have 3 parts. One is some sort of achievement or experience that you have. It could be work related, but if you don't have much work experience, it can totally be a hobby or being part of a sports team or something like that. Second is some sort of achievement that you've accomplished. Could be related to the work experience, could be related to the hobby or the sports team. And third, you want to tie those together to be able to talk about what you will deliver that is unique. I can tell you as a hiring manager, the content of the answer won't matter so much as just hearing an answer that tells me that the candidate is thinking about those 3 things. What should I do if I don't hear back from the employer after my first job interview? So first, don't take it personal. The average is you're only going to get a job from 1 in 5 interviews that you go to. That said, you should totally feel comfortable following up within about 48 hours. You don't really need to wait more than that. Most companies have made a decision about hiring in that time frame. But here's a way you can do it with a follow-up email that doesn't seem tacky. Right after the interview, you should be sending an email that says, thanks for your time, or I had a great time talking today, or whatever it is. Like I said, right after you've had the interview. And then when you send that second interview 48 hours later asking about the job, it doesn't seem like you're just emailing to get something. You've already sort of established the fact that you do this communication, that you send out emails. So how do I know if I'm not getting scammed at my new job and I'm getting paid a fair amount of money there? All right, so I have personally messed this one up early in my career when I've just taken the first offer over the phone when the person has given me the job and come to find out later that that was actually a mistake. So what I can say is before you even get into the interview, you should have a number in mind for what you want to earn. You can do some research online, but obviously just be warned, online,
everybody lies.
But what you should be doing when you receive the offer or even in the interview is asking for what's the band for this role. Most companies have a low to high pay that they're willing to offer for the role. And so you should be figuring out what that is. And when they make the offer to you, you can just ask and then you can kind of decide, okay, do I feel comfortable in this band? So this is sort of a bonus question, which sometimes comes up is, should I be asking about the pay in the interview? The answer to that is yes, you should be asking about the pay in the interview. You shouldn't leave the interview with no idea what the salary for the role is. If a company doesn't want to talk about pay, it's probably a company you don't want to work for because it basically means compensation is always going to be an issue going forward, whether that means they're going to be late on their reviews and you're not going to get paid, or when they do offer you the yearly raise, it's really undervalued. So how do I ask my boss for feedback at my job? So feedback is massive for your career, especially as a new employee, and it's something that you want to take control over. You should never be in a situation where you're saying something like, I don't know how it's going, I'm waiting to get a review. If that's in your mind right now, is a bad sign. So how do you make sure you're getting consistent feedback? Well, there's 3 steps that I teach people. First is you want to be transparent. So that means that you personally every day want to write down what you're working on, what your priority is, maybe where you're stuck with something, you're having troubles, and where you've succeeded, what has worked well, and what you've accomplished. The second step is you need to go first. So now you have this information. Every day you should be sharing this with your boss or with your boss's boss. And then you want to be consistent with it. So you want to be doing this every single day. You want to talk to your boss every single morning about what your priorities are and where you're stuck and where you're winning. The reason I say this, as a manager, I want to know what you're working on, what you think's important, what you would be doing if I wasn't around. And then if you tell me that, I'm much more able to sort of guide you in the correct direction. And that feedback is way more valuable. And we can have this conversation every single day, and you'll never be thinking, oh, what should I be doing? Or am I doing the right thing? All right, how much time is left? So quickly, if you like this video, if you like this content, please like and subscribe so you can get notified the next time I post a video. What should I say in my first job interview when I get asked, why should we hire you? Maybe not what you're expecting, but you actually want this question in your interview. This is a value related question, and the way you answer this can really set you apart. So you want to hit the 4 points of value when answering this question. So first is impact. Why they should hire you? I'll deliver X. This could be clients, this could be customer service, this could be more sales. Second piece is reputation. So you want to say, I will deliver X and I'll do it with a positive attitude, or however you want to sort of sell your reputation. Third is you want to talk a little bit about cost. So if you're inexperienced and you're going for a role that maybe is like a little bit higher experience, you could say, well, I'm going to be cheaper than the other person. If you don't want to talk about being cheaper, you could just say something like, hey, I'm really low maintenance. I do my job. I don't get in trouble, those types of things. And fourth is understanding. Mention how, well, I know X and I want to learn Y, or I know how to do this. So something that really sets you apart from the training side of things. If you say an answer like that, you're really talking the company's language, and it sounds way better than something like, oh, I'll work really hard, or I'll really try. Those are so vague. This is like super specific, and it's going to really resonate with the person who's interviewing you. What should I say in my first job interview when I get asked, what is your biggest weakness? So I used to hate this question because I never prepared for it, or I prepared for it poorly. This is really a question about self-awareness. And the answer is not something to do with skills. So you're not going to say, oh, I'm really bad at Excel or something like that. So you want to answer more about mindset. And I would say specifically answer about a limiting belief that you may have that you're looking to break. So perhaps it'll be like, oh, I want to beat my imposter syndrome, or I want to get better at facing rejection. These types of answers are really relatable, and they make it seem that you're really self-aware, and your boss is going to understand that because chances are they've had to deal with limiting beliefs themselves, and they're going to appreciate that type of answer. How should I deal with my imposter syndrome at work? So imposter syndrome is super common for everybody, even high achievers. And there's 3 steps that's going to help you deal with your imposter syndrome at work in the moment. The first is you're going to need to acknowledge it, which you're doing by asking the question. So we all have these sort of limiting beliefs. We all have imposter syndrome to some degree. You're going to be able to recognize when this belief is bubbling up. And I can tell you it probably comes about when you're feeling under pressure. And third, when this belief comes up, you want to start to question it. You want to find ways to reframe it, or sort of ask for evidence about why you're believing this in the moment. And to really make the third step click, you want to always have what you could call a brag document or a collection of your wins. This could just even be like a little email thread that you have to yourself. And in it, you're just going to talk about when you've done a good job, when you've made life easier for somebody you've been working with, when you've delivered impact, even when you've acted really professionally in a tense situation. That way, when you're having these feelings of imposter syndrome, you can think about, wait a minute, I've done all of these things. Why am I feeling this way? And that's how you beat imposter syndrome. So if you have a work struggle or a work-related question that I didn't get to today, you can book a free 15-minute call with me in the link in the bio, and I'd be happy to help you out.